So we're going to do a comparison of height by gender. And so I'm going to do just some of my summary statistics. And we're going to do female versus male. And again, we want the count. We want the mean. We want the standard deviation. And the 5-number summary. Min, Q1, median, Q3, and max. And this one's going to be just a little bit more work because I've got to isolate the males from the females. So equals count. I can't grab the whole column. I want to carefully grab just the female data. And then I'll show you a trick. Now that I have the female range, if I double click in there, rather than having to highlight that whole group again, I can just highlight the reference to those cells. So mine was B2 through B171. And then I can just reuse that here. Average. Ooh, that did not work well. I must not have hit copy. So what was it again? Get out of there. It was B2 through B171. So I copied that. Highlight, copy. There we go. And standard deviation. We want the sample version. Min. Quartiles. We want to use the inclusive quartile usually. And this is quartile 1. Median. Quartile 3. And the max. For the males, I got a couple options. I could just go highlight, or since I know the females end at 171, I could just start at 172. So for the count for the males equals count, I can start at B 172. That should be the first male, colon. If I just put a B after that with no number, it'll look through the rest of the list. And I know there's nothing after the males. So B172 colon B should grab all of the males. I'm just going to copy that range. I don't want to fill it, but I do want to reapply it to each of these. Once I have those, then I can compare the mean of the females to the mean of the males, standard deviation of the females to the standard deviation of the males. And so on for these also. One more trick that's kind of nice. So again, it's not too much work, but it's a little bit doing it in Excel. Do you remember the stat key app we went over a moment ago? Check out this for stat key. So gender is not a quantitative variable, it's a qualitative variable, right? A categorical variable. And this is a numerical or quantitative variable. Stat key has a way to compare a categorical variable with a quantitative variable. So if I highlight all of those, and it wouldn't matter if they're sorted or not, I could have taken the original versions of those data values. And in StatKey, notice under the descriptive statistics and graphs, they have an item called one quantitative and one categorical variable. the first column is the category and the second column is the value. So I'm just going to replace the what they have here with mine. And then the question is, I brought in the header row, so I want the header to be checked. Now, the nice thing about this is stat key then very quickly does males versus females versus overall. And they will show me a histogram, a dot plot stacked with the same axes. I could do a histogram stacked, or I could do a stacked box plot to compare them. So stat key makes it pretty easy to compare two groups when you're playing around. It can do more than two groups too. So if there was male, female, and other, it would split it into 3 groups, which is kind of nice. To do something like this histogram here in Google, it's a little bit more work. So forgetting about the summary statistics for a moment, what I would have to do is just do, I'm pretty sure Google will not be able to handle that graph, but let's see. Yeah, that's not a very helpful graph. And I'm pretty sure it can't handle a histogram on that. For the histogram, it's just blending all of the numbers together. It can't easily discriminate between the genders. So that was a bad idea. What I would have to do is just do the females, so get down to my row 171, excuse me. So highlighting that group, make a histogram. And then make another histogram for the remainder of the numbers, the other group. And then I'd want to adjust them so they have the same start, end, and group. And unfortunately, it's a pain to get those graphs together. Thank you. And cut and paste. So X. That's the female there, the male under. There we go. So then I'd want to adjust them. So height in inches, females, so I don't forget which is which. And height in inches for males. And then I have to go through and adjust the width. What looks like a good width here. 5 maybe, is that what we tried before? Sure, starting at 50, so I'd want to make sure they definitely start in the same place. And I'd want to set 50, sorry. There we go. And I want this one to do the same. Series, histogram, sorry. 5, and then make sure they start at the same place. And they happen to end at the same place. Sometimes you have to adjust that also to make sure they match up. So now I have 2 comparable histograms. I love Google for a lot of stuff. This comparison of 2 is a bit more work, but sometimes it's the only way to go. Stat key is a very nice tool for comparing 2 things. And again, to do that comparison of 2 things on stat key, I had to go to the one quantitative, one categorical, and the data has to come in with 2 columns. The first column is what you're categorizing the data as. The second are the values that you're trying to analyze. But pretty cool app. All right, that's it for that.